Hey, what's up, Mission Pro fans? Welcome to another edition of Mission Pro Wrestling Unmatched. Joining me, as always, is the best host from the West Coast, our friend Trenda. What's up, Trenda?
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Well, it's been a super busy week at work. It's been busy doing all kinds of Mission Pro stuff. It's just a really good time to be busy.
Yeah,
We are busy.
yeah, I get that. I've been pretty busy at work this week myself, but I'm looking forward to tonight to kind of relax and talk some pro wrestling and do what I enjoy.
Yeah, there's so much going on. I want to start with a couple of things. I have a rant, but I'm going to save that for later.
Okay.
Um, la- Last night on a mission, Emily and Veda revealed they did the lottery for the Gauntlet match
Yeah.
for the Mission Pro Wrestling Cup, and it was interesting to see how everything played out. So just for those who maybe didn't get a chance to watch it last night, so for the match that we're talking about, I think I have a graphic for this match. Is where is it? Here it is.
Yes.
So we have Joey Hyder, Lady Bird Monroe, Danny B, Charity King, Casey Blackrose, Alejandra Leon, and Misty Marks. And so the order in which these competitors will enter the match, Joey Hyder did draw number one, which is probably the least favorable spot in the match because you now have to sort of literally run the gauntlet, right?
Well, one and two.
Well, one and two, right? That's a good point. So and number two is Danny B. So Danny B and Joey will kick off the match. Number three was Charity King, which is interesting. We talked a little bit about that in the chat, and Emily and Veda talked about this because you now have basically Joey facing a tag team in King Bees.
Exactly.
So he's got the odds stacked against him doubly here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts in just a second, but let me run down the order. And then Casey Blackrose is number 4, Misty Marks number 5, Alejandra Leon is number 6, and Lady Bird Monroe is 7. So, what were your thoughts on the way this all unfolded, and does this order favor anyone specifically for you? Does it change your pick?
It doesn't change my pick, but it does have me very intrigued at the fact that Joey is gonna get a beat down. That's how I see this. Joey is gonna get a beat down because if I were Danny B and Charity King, I would really hold off. I mean, not hold off, but strategize to make sure that my tag team partner was in there with me while Joey was there. And if we could both beat him and make sure he's out, then as a team, we could go ahead and try to get through the rest of the gauntlet together, and then may the best woman win because we're friends at the end. So that could be a great strategy for them. However, you still have Casey, Misty, and Alejandra and Ladybird coming in too, and none of them are slackers, so they're going to give it their all as well. But I'm looking at Joey's odds, and I figure, well, oh,
Well, I mean, if you look at these individually, Alejandra's had quite a run. She's has this new attitude. She's been winning gold in other promotions. Like she is a force to be reckoned with. And coming in at number 6 gives her an advantage to come into the match fresh. You know,
yes,
should there be a competitor who's been in there a while, they
oh
could
yeah,
find themselves in a bad spot.
yeah, definitely, she's going to have an advantage at that point. And of course, Ladybird, of course, the ultimate advantage being number 7. I mean, she's
Yeah.
going to come in fresh no matter who's in there, or she's just going to be fresh. Yeah, period.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because this match is for the cup, but the cup then gives you the opportunity to cash in for a future title opportunity, and it's not just the world title, but it also is for tag team as well. So if one of these if Lady Bird wins, Money Birds could be in contention for a match down the road. And if if Danny or Charity win, then they could also team up and challenge for whoever the tag champions are at the time. So there's a lot of ways this could go, and it's hard to pick a winner just based on how this all unfolded. Like Misty has been incredible. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't
then we do have Casey, who is the current, cup holder. I'm sure he's going to be there trying to make sure he keeps that opportunity for himself. So I mean, that in itself, having a gentleman in the midway point of the match is also in itself a disadvantage for the ladies. So
yeah, because so last night on a mission again, go check out the replay because Casey Blackrose and Joey Hyder did join Emily and Veda, and they both talked about their chances. And Casey's very confident. He's beaten Joey before. He ran through, I think it was like 11 or 12 competitors to win the cup. So
yeah,
he's proven himself as a champion, as a cup holder. So he's going to do anything and everything to
keep that.
retain.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm excited for it. I want to just give a shout out to everybody in the chat. There's a lot of people in there tonight. I see Tony Justice. I see Neil's in there. RA's in there. Pepe's in there. I see everybody's in there. There's a lot of people in there. Mrs. Front Row's in there. My goodness. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I know there's a ton of wrestling going on, so we appreciate you joining us tonight to have some fun and talk a little pro wrestling. So let's dive into the week of women's wrestling.
All right.
And as usual, since our show's on Thursday, we start on last Friday. And SmackDown, it's interesting to me what's going on in SmackDown because Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair, two of the very best in the world, had a face-off. And the determination was, they agreed to have a match at SummerSlam, or Charlotte agreed to have a match at SummerSlam if Bianca beat Asuka. And it was a great match. Bianca won by DQ, which was also, I'm not sure where they're going with this, but because I really like seeing Asuka in there. So I guess the match now is determined to be Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair, if that's right.
Well, I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say, again, where they're going with it, to me, it kind of seems like they're leading more towards maybe even taking Asuka out of the picture. I think Asuka will probably retain. And so, with everything that's been going on, they've really been telling the story of Charlotte and Bianca having this feud because, as you said, Bianca won by DQ, but she won because Charlotte speared her.
Right.
So Charlotte cost her the match. However, Bianca cost Charlotte a match as well. So, really they're building, it seems more like, Asuka's just in the center of their story because they might as well move Asuka out because these two, I mean, with or without a title, watching Charlotte and Bianca in the ring is always awesome. So I kind of feel like that's where they're going with this because they're focusing more on the Bianca Charlotte than Asuka herself.
Yeah, it is weird because, like you said, in this storyline, it's almost hard to remember that Asuka's the current champion, right?
Exactly.
So even the way that it all unfolded on the show. So, but I mean, you've got some of the best talent in the world telling these stories. So whatever happens is probably going to be interesting. But I'm you have Io Sky and Bailey in here too as part of this story off to the side, and that's a lot of people to shoehorn into a
Yeah.
title feud that's not really focused on the title as much as it should be.
On the title holder.
Right.
Everyone else is in this feud pretty much other than Asuka. I mean, she's there, but is she really involved in this story?
Yeah.
So I could see where the Bianca Charlotte thing is going, but then again, you just reminded me. I forgot that Bailey and Io was also involved in this situation at the end. And what is that about? That okay? So that just totally, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I've always like I'm a big fan of everybody involved in these stories, but I've never really connected with damage control.
Control. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why.
I don't
I
know what
don't
they're
know.
about. Like, I know I've seen the promos. It's all very, I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to win, all that stuff. But I've never really gotten that personal edge to it. I've never gotten that connection to the participants or even the team members, where I was like, I mean, because Io Sky is an unbelievable, one of the very best. I know a lot of people credit her as being one of the best in the world
By herself.
by herself.
She really
Yes,
does not need anyone else to be
right.
with her. But at the same time, what kind of threw me with damage control is, they're pretty much, correct me if I'm wrong, the only female fraction that's there. And it's like, I mean, I know they can do 1-on-ones and then 2-on-ones. I don't know if they were trying to do like a female new day type of thing, but it just was not catching on. It just was not. Even Bailey. I mean, Bailey is a diehard great wrestler on her own. And if she's not really in that leader position for, some younger talent that help lift them up, then why is she with this fraction? Because Ego definitely doesn't need the help.
No, no, it's just it's always confusing to me. I think they were supposed to be a heel faction, but they're all popular in their own right. Bailey did a really good job during the pandemic as a bad guy with Sasha, and the stuff that they did in the Performance Center with Michael Cole. All that stuff was really good, but I don't feel the edge anymore, and I don't really feel. And it always comes down to make me care. Like, I need to care about who wins, but I don't. Like, just because they're not making me feel something one way or the other about the story that's being told. And it is hard because you're on a show. SmackDown has the Bloodline, which is the biggest story, best story being told in the last 20 to 30 years, and everything
Exactly.
else pales in comparison. So it is kind of hard to compete
Yeah.
with all that. But Bailey did defeat Zelina Vega, and with the Rose Plant, which I think is really cool because she's been using that. That was her finisher when she was Davina Rose in the Indies, and she brought that back last year, I think. So I'm glad to see her winning with that finisher. But um, does that match really mean anything? It's good that they're getting a
I,
spotlight, but
I don't know, but I did want to run back real quick. So EO she has the Money in the Bank championship. That's
mm-hmm,
why she's there. Maybe she's hoping maybe they beat Oscar up, she can cash in.
maybe.
But um, her the back to the original point, her and Bailey's connection is just not there, and it's
Yeah.
what it.
So jumping over to Raw, I'm just gonna stick with WWE for a second because I want to talk about AEW separately. That there's a reason for that. Um,
I see where the rant is
I
coming.
maybe. So Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green defeated Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to become the new tag team champions.
Mhm.
And I understand they're bad guys on TV, and I get all that, but like, we followed Chelsea's story from the very beginning. I followed her through the Tough Enough years when she was brought in as like a secondary person when someone left the show, and it was a whole thing. And then she ended up leaving the show. She went to WWE, got fired from WWE. She told this whole story on Busted Open today
Yeah,
about
yeah,
her journey, about how she just refused to be. She could not be denied. She's like, this is where I
exactly.
belong.
Yeah,
And to see her finally make it in this huge spotlight, and Sonya, who was also on Tough Enough the same year, I just like the journey, and I like that they've ended here, or that they've reached this point.
yeah. I think it's awesome, especially the two of them together. I love their chemistry. I love how they act together. I love how they play off each other. So, it's not really understanding why the Rhonda and Shayna situation, blew up so quickly. Not really understanding that part. But if we do have to have new champions at this point in time, I like Sonya and Chelsea in that position. It's great.
Well, they're both really good on the mic, and
Yeah.
they're both good in the ring, but they're like individually, their backstage stuff has been stellar. Um, and now I will be, man, I'm definitely going to tune in to see how they act as champions. I think it's going to be some entertaining stuff.
Oh, definitely with them too. It's all entertaining.
The problem is, and they have a deep roster at WWE, but they don't have a deep tag team roster.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to, and Shayna even said this in her interview um, recently, that the challenge is getting more than a month's worth of matches because they just don't have enough cohesive tag teams.
Hmm.
So, I hope they figure out, and oftentimes they have these thrown together tag teams that do end up working. So maybe that's where they're going with it. Yeah, and I agree. I'm very happy for Chelsea and Sonya, but a little sad. I thought Liv and Raquel made a good team and they were fun together. But and maybe they'll come back and challenge and win again. Who knows? But I think from an entertainment perspective, this
This is
was
a better fit.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a little more happier.
and they're also both really good on social media at their character work on social media. So um, it's going to be good. Stay tuned. But you mentioned Shayna. Shayna defeated Nikki Cross handily in a short match with a Kirifuda clutch. Um, Shayna and Ronda cut promos, and Ronda was in the audience, and this feels more real than anything I've seen out of these two ever. Like
Yeah.
ever since Shayna cut that promo a few weeks ago, and they've been going at it, and it just feels like they hate each other. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I don't care. I know this is probably one of the best, one of the grittiest women's storylines in WWE in a while.
Well, I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm looking forward to it because just like you said, gritty and both of these women have that MMA background. Both of these women, are now here trying to prove something in WWE. And like Shayna says, you were handed a lot, and even though you worked hard, don't get me wrong, because we all saw how great Ronda was that first year. I mean, it was amazing to watch her come in and just really handle herself the way she did for a beginner in WWE. But at the same time, she did still come in and she didn't go to NXT and work her way up. So you got to understand the gripe and where Shayna's coming from. I mean, basically, I came from MMA too. I didn't start at the top. I didn't get a match with Triple H against Triple H and his wife in the beginning with a famous, so yeah, it's different. And I understand the gripe, especially if you feel like you've been kind of holding this tag team together on your own, like you've been really carrying her on your back. And then now it's like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. These two ladies are gonna fight, and I want to see a fight.
But I can see Ronda's point too. Ronda's saying, "Hey, like I surpassed you in MMA. I retired as a UFC Hall of Famer. Like I was the biggest deal in women's fighting for a long time. Shayna
Mhm.
never reached that peak. She was one of the top 10 in the world, but she was never at that level."
Yeah,
And Shayna's even said in interviews, and I've seen clips of them training together. I mean, Ronda's just Ronda. So, and Ronda even said, like, I've surpassed you in pro wrestling too. Like, I've already main evented WrestleMania. I've already done all this stuff.
yeah, that
So
you still want to do.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But
You
that
feel a
gotta
certain
hurt
way.
and cut. That gotta cut deeply too, because again, we're supposed to be friends. And look at you. I've already done this and I've already done it, but I'm still here trying to get there. Like I want
Yeah.
to, but again,
It's funny. It's funny. I saw, if you remember back, Baron Corbin was talking about when he came into WWE, right? The
okay,
character of Baron Corbin was a guy that never watched wrestling, was just, pro football player. And I remember the promo where he said, I didn't have to work the indies. I made a phone call and I'm here. And that was it. And that's like the Ronda version. Ronda has her version of that too. She's like, they
yeah,
called me and I came here and they pay me a lot of money and I draw a lot of tickets and I'm a big deal and you're not. And
mm,
it's I don't
mm,
know. You know what I mean? So like, but
mm.
she's not wrong.
She's
Like
not
that's
wrong, but is it right to
no,
say?
well, maybe. But every villain is a hero in their own story, right? So
Exactly. It all depends on how you look at it because they
yeah,
both feel like they are right in this case, and each one of them have a gripe. Each one of them do.
yep. So I've been just really invested in a lot of the stuff that's going on Raw. The Raws have been really good in general. I know we don't cover all the men's matches, but as a whole, there's a nice balance. There's backstage segments with the top female talent, and there's a lot of great stuff going on there. Um, my only issue is, again, going back to SmackDown. It's just the title holders don't have the focus that I think that they should.
Hmm.
But um,
Interesting.
I I want to jump to NXT because, man, I want to give a spotlight to Thea Hale. Holy smokes!
Oh.
I mean, so so shout out to Thea Hale, who was Nikita Knight. She was on Mission Pro's first Silver Bells show, I believe. She may have been on one other, but I know she wrestled for Mission Pro. So alumni for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but she's done such a cool job of this energetic, like over the top, not cheerleader. I wouldn't say she's a cheerleader, but she just has this ball of energy in the Chase U stuff. But then she gets in there and she has this match with Elektra Lopez and wins by submission. Like, she got real serious in that match. What did you think of the match, and what do you think about her promo after the match to challenge for the title?
Well, I mean, I feel like she's on a roll. You know, she's on a roll. She's been winning lately. She has the confidence. She has the crowd, the university behind her. Let's go. I mean, I don't care what anybody else says or I forgot what is her name, the champion.
Tiffany
Stratton,
Stratton.
Tiffany Stratton. I don't care what Tiffany says about, oh, you learned one move and now when you learn one submission move and now you think you're better, you're ready to like take me on. Like I've already defeated like the likes of you. So it's I mean, I get that. That was so awesome to me just to hear her say that one line. However, that one move can make you tap out. So how about that?
Yeah, and it's interesting because she's not a bigger competitor, but she's been saying that she's been training. I've seen some of the social media stuff, and her in-ring has been getting like exponentially better. And she came into NXT already as a good wrestler, a good competitor, but she's gotten much better. But it's
Not
just
not just her entering either, just her presence. I mean, she commands attention. You want to watch her. She has that chase you spirit going on, and she's in there ready to fight. And one of the youngest people there, and it's just amazing to watch her. She's just a big ball of spirit, and I love watching her run around the ring and just I'm gonna get it.
what I like about that character is they didn't decide to go with the crazy chick. Like, they went with just an energetic, super happy to
Yes,
be there.
big
Like,
ball of energy.
yeah, she is like so supportive of all the members of Chase U. It's been really cool to see the evolution. That's a character that I think will work really well on the main roster down the road.
Oh yeah, she's definitely gonna be a great talent, and I'm sure a champion holder of many titles, of many titles.
Probably.
Yeah,
But I almost feel like, especially in NXT, like, I'm glad she's challenging for the title. She's feeling like, hey, I've proven myself now. I need a title opportunity. But the
and
character right now, like, I don't think she needs it right now.
no, she doesn't. But I'd like someone to be Tiffany.
Me too.
Now it's just like one of those things. Are we really cheering for her, or we're cheering because we just want Tiffany gone? Like, I don't know.
Okay, on that note, who would you pick? Who would you want to see being? For me, Cora Jade would be my pick.
Uh, no. What is her name? Not Cora J. The one. Um, I can't think of her name right now,
Because
but
there's
I
an
can
ongoing
picture her
feud
face.
with Blair Davenport and Roxanne Perez, which I thought was
Oh my God. Yes. Yes. And then we saw Booker giving her that advice.
yeah.
Yeah, trying to really pump her up and let her know,
How does he not see the camera there filming? Come on, Booker.
the
Like, yeah,
whole
come on, man.
time. Okay. And then have an attitude after. But all right, that's a whole different story. But yeah, really pumping her up and getting her head back in the game. And that's a big I don't know, it's a mystery to me because I feel like she went from being on top and now she's literally at the bottom having to work her way back up. Like, she didn't even make it to the finals of the what was it? The wasn't a gauntlet. It was the women's
It was a tournament, yeah.
tournament match. She didn't even make it to the finals.
Yeah.
Like what are they doing with her? And she's great. And I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna watch the story play out. Maybe she has to go through some hard times. I don't
Maybe.
know.
Maybe.
But I know right now it seems like she's struggling. So
Yeah, so we had Zia's match. We had the backstage interview with Blair and Roxanne, and then we also had Kiana James and Gigi Dolan, which to me I think the Gigi Dolan JC Jane feud has been outstanding, but Kiana James is a more powerful presence. She's a stronger competitor, and she kind of pushes Gigi around in this match.
oh
Um,
yeah.
and
Oh
and she
yeah.
wins with, by the way, the 401k is a great finishing move name. I love that.
I know when they said that I was like, oh my God, that is so awesome. That
But
is so
I do have to throw a flag on all this because using the bag and the money and all this stuff, like that's Roche Chanel. Come on. What are we doing here? That's
like
gimmick
we've seen
infringement.
this someplace before. Don't act like you guys made this up.
Yeah, someone who's actually current champion. I'm
Ah,
just saying.
yeah, just throwing that out there. Just.
But this is the thing too. Like if for folks who listen to Busted Open, Tommy Dreamer always talks about NXT being one of his favorite shows because, especially in the women's division, it's developmental, but they have such a nice mix of seasoned talents. They have backstage people that are coaching everybody, and you get to be on the journey with these people as they learn and grow and get better, and then eventually make it up into the main roster and do bigger things. Like I feel like, and especially this version of NXT where this wasn't the case previously, but
Yeah,
now there really are, when you graduate to the main roster, they take you as is. Like, this is the character I've invested my time in. I will now watch Raw because my favorite person is on Raw. And it always blew my mind during like the 2.0 era where they would just rebrand people and you go, yeah, but I just spent a year investing all my, feelings into this person's success and now you're changing them. And they're not doing that anymore. They're bringing everybody up. Minor
the way
tweaks,
they
sure,
were
but like,
exactly. Oh
yeah.
my goodness, that is one thing I am totally glad about because you would always sit there and have this fear. Like my favorite NXT person is going to go to the main roster. Now their clothes is going to be different. Their moves going to be different. They're going to change their name.
Yeah.
And what and everything about them, and they're not even the same person I fell in love with in the first place. So there.
Right. And now you do. Now you care, you get invested, and you get to follow their journey, which is I think is really cool. Okay, so let's go to AEW.
Let's go.
um, so the positive. Last week on Collision, we saw Willow defeat Ruby for the Owen Cup.
Yes.
Man, I am just over the moon for Willow, about Willow. I'm happy for her success. She was a part of Mission Pro for a period of time. She's been, in Ring of Honor. She's been everywhere. And now to see her get this week after week after week spotlight, and she's winning, and she's getting, the crowd is totally behind her. I
Yes.
just, to me, this was a bright spot in AEW this week.
Oh, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. And you know me, I'm always the skeptic. I'm like, oh, Ruby's little trolls are going to come down there and interfere and mess up everything. But they didn't mess it up. She is now a Owen Cup And they gave belts too. We weren't sure if they
Mhm.
were going to give out belts as well, but she is now the Owen Cup holder, and I am so happy for her. So happy for her.
Yeah, I am too. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for her. Obviously, um, I I don't see any reason why she's not world champion in the next year.
Mm,
No reason.
no reason at all. I actually kind of wanted to see her defeat Athena for the Ring of Honor belt. I wanted her to be the Ring of Honor champion. Not that it can't happen still, but I could see her just
Well, that match is happening
being
tomorrow, right?
so
Yeah,
I can see her being just a real dominant Ring of Honor champion. Being up
yeah, yeah. I think if anybody is to dethrone Athena, who's just been an unbelievable champion, as you say, like, man, I would love to. Willow would be amazing as Ring of
Woo,
Honor
I'm
champion.
sure the roof would pop when that
Yeah,
if that was to
I
happen.
think some of our friends, Neil in the chat, I think Neil's going to be there. Is John going to be there too? We got a bunch of our friends that are going to be there, so that's super cool.
Woo.
Um, and then Battle of the Belts was right after. Now, this is not anybody's fault, so don't take this as me blaming anybody. But the featured match was Toni Storm defending her title against Taya Valkyrie. Both very credible. You know, I'm a big fan of Taya. We've seen Taya all over the place. And there was a weather problem, and the match went dark, and like a good chunk of the match didn't make it to TV
Hmm.
because of the technical issues. And I get it. That's not the fault of booking or anything like that or storytelling. It just had happened. But they come back from break, and now they're showing another match for like a couple of seconds, and then they cut to commentary, and then they cut to the Owen Cup presentation, and I'm like, but they didn't tell us who won. Like, did they
Have
finish? Like,
no
we didn't.
idea what just happened here. That someone should at least, because I know they had to know as well. I'm sure they knew what was going on for all the viewers as well. So someone should have came on and said something like, "Hey, the winner of the last match, blah 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 blah," or something. Like, are you serious? I just literally I've tried to go on YouTube to see if I could, maybe find the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, just looking for, like, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And they did later on in the show highlights from the match and the finish of the match with Tony successfully defending. But I think that they should have done that coming back from commercial, or maybe they just weren't able to. I don't. Whatever the reason, it felt very disjointed to me, and it felt
Yeah,
like,
I was so
man,
disappointed.
these women finally get like this is their spotlight on the show, and it didn't work out. Like it bothered me, and I understand that there's no way to blame anybody for it. It was just whatever, but
Yeah,
it sucked. It did. Um, and the third big match from AEW this week was Dynamite last week, a match that
yeah.
I think people were looking forward to. Maybe, maybe not. Um,
Woo-hoo.
you know, um,
Oh, that was
Britt Baker versus our friend Kayla Sparks. Huge fan of Kayla. Kayla's Mission Pro alum. We've interviewed her for the Nation's Corner. She's just a super
love
awesome person.
Kayla. Yes, yes,
But
a
the
super
match was like
awesome person
50 something seconds.
who did not get a, a good 2 minutes in the ring.
No, it was a minute. It
That's
was a
what I
minute.
said. Did not
Yeah.
get a good 2 minutes. It's, I, I I always have my own opinion because I really pride myself on just being a fan. Like, I know nothing about anything pertaining to professional wrestling or anything, and I know we kind of had a conversation with some of our friends, and I was just like, why did this match even happen? I felt like it was just unnecessary. Like, you literally let these ladies come down here for nothing. That's how I felt about it. It was really nothing. But then I was kind of listening to Busted Open, and then I was listening to the host on there kind of, say that Dynamite was great. And I'm waiting for someone to say, except. And it was like, oh, everything just fit in. And even the women's match, Britt got in and got out. And I'm like, got in and got out. That was, it was, I'm sure it was a record. It was probably a record
Probably
for a
was.
match. You know what I mean? I've never seen anything like that before. And honestly, if you're gonna do a 60-second match, um, I don't even know why they did Brit that way in the same sense. Usually, I don't get it. They didn't. I want the women to actually be able to at least get in there, even if it's 4 minutes, to be able to tell a quick story. Get in there and what was this about? What was it? Like it was, I don't know. It felt like what
It
was
was a
it?
squash match.
Warm up, a warm up match for Britt to come back. Like I don't.
Here's the
Ooh,
thing. Here's the thing.
oh
So,
my
okay,
god.
we
You know,
understand that we understand that the blood and guts match was an hour long. It was a half of the show. So, like other stuff is going to suffer time wise. I get that. I understand. But when you have only one women's match on a show and you only give them one out of 60 minutes or however like 40 something minutes of airtime, you couldn't have done 4 or 5 minutes. And we're critical when they get 6 or 7 minutes. Like, and that's like a marathon by comparison. So
I don't
I
get it.
almost feel like, and to your point, I almost feel like maybe they should have just not had one at all, and then
Yeah,
double up on Collision. Like, okay, we're not going to give you guys a match today because of the blood and guts match, but on Saturday or on Rampage or whatever, like we're going to make up that time on our all of our other shows. We have other opportunities, right? But it just didn't happen, and it never happens, and it's very frustrating sometimes because I feel like a lot of the women, all of the women there work very, very hard to be there. And they have 37 people on their roster. And Tony Khan says in the interview that there's no depth of roster. So anyway, that was my rant.
yeah, and that in itself says a lot. Okay.
Yeah. So one more thing of note. I'm wearing La Mera Mera shirt tonight because it is her birthday on Saturday.
Yay.
Happy birthday to Thunder Rosa. We're looking forward to seeing her return to the ring. I know she posted some stuff on socials that she was at Hybrid School of Wrestling, just sort of getting warmed up and feeling back in the ring and doing some stuff. I don't know what that training looks like, but she did post a couple days ago. So that's super cool. She's also going to be in studio tomorrow for Busted Open. So that'll be fun to hear the show live with the hosts in studio.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. So
So, yeah.
you have
Before
anything
we go,
else for us?
yeah, before we go, I just want to give a couple of shout outs. We watched Slammiversary this weekend. We have new Knockout World Tag Team Champions in Masha Slamovich uh, um,
Kelly
and
Kelly.
Killer Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they beat, of course, Kylan King and Taylor Wilde, which, was just a bunch of Mission Pro alumni right there within itself. But so, we weren't really sure how we felt about it, but it's awesome. I feel real good. It was a great match. And also, shouts out to Trinity, who beat Deanna Peraza. She is now a women's champion. Well deserved, like something I think we've all been waiting for from every promotion, from the other promotion. But yeah, shouts out to Slammiversary, which had a great show. It was so entertaining. I mean, not just the women, but there were a lot of title changes. Like I think every title literally changed except for the men's championship title. So it was a great show, and give a shout out to those ladies for having a great hard hitting match this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I think Trinity was our pick last week,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very happy to see her win. Not that Deanna hasn't been like an unbelievable champion.
Unbelievably great. Yes, I love her as well.
She doesn't have bad matches. So,
Mhm.
but Trinity, like I said last week, I saw her win the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania in her home crowd. So I know how popular she is with the crowd. I know how a fan base she has, and I'm just really happy to see her thriving in a new spot. So,
Yeah, yeah, and
her
her
title
gear
reign
looks
will be interesting.
awesome. And her
Yeah.
gear looks awesome. So keep it up,
Yep.
girl. Proud of it. Yeah.
Yep. So a lot of stuff coming up. We have our, as I said earlier, on August 12th, Boiling Point, the match we talked about, plus all the other great stuff going on. Stay tuned to our socials because we're going to have more content coming out. over the next couple of weeks. More interviews on a mission. We might have a special guest here next week, so stay tuned. So also, if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, email us at missionprowrestling@gmail.com. There's still matches and wrestlers available for sponsorship, and also get your tickets at missionprowrestling.com. August 12th, Title Match Network. It's going to be an awesome show. I'm so excited for everybody who gets to be there and all of us who get to watch at home. We unfortunately will not be there local. We won't be able to be in San Antonio this time. Maybe some of our other hosts will be.
It's going to be a barn burner out there. It's going to be hot.
Yeah, thank goodness our venue is air conditioned. So, all right, Trent, anything else, my friend?
Nope, that's pretty much it for me. I'm good for tonight.
And where can people find you?
You can find me across all socials at Trenda Magellan, and that's with a J, not a G. Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. And you can find me at PW Front Row across all the socials. You can also find me typically on Saturdays on the Nation's Corner on our YouTube at 7 p.m. This week's show will be the debut of an interview that a couple of other hosts did with Cole Bohannon today. It's a really fun interview. It was really, really funny. So definitely check that out Saturday at 7 p.m. on the Nation's Corner YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and we're going to see you all next week. Make sure you tune in to On a Mission next week, Tuesday at their regular time. They return to their regular time slot. Yes. And Monday, we'll have another matchup for Match Monday. There's just so much stuff going on. Stay tuned, and thanks, everybody, for joining in the chat. We'll see you all next week.